Welcome to another edition of View from the Bleachers. I'm Tim Jones. You know, if you're a highly observant person, you might notice that I'm wearing a white shirt. Or am I? This reminds me of the time my wife dragged me with her to go shopping for white paint for her art studio walls. What an ordeal! And that's the subject of this week's commentary. More on the other side. White, a basic color, the color of polar bears, eggs, milk, and all of the 150 golf balls I've lost in the woods over the last year. White is white, right? Well, not quite, I recently discovered. When I was first learning how to color in first grade, my art teacher taught us about red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, and of course white. Pretty much all the colors I've ever needed ever since. And then I got my first box of 64 Crayola crayons. Ha! It blew my mind! So many colors I had never imagined. One called reddish orange, another one called orangish red, and Indian red, which I could not in clear conscience draw with until they finally renamed it Native American red. Well, recently, I learned that Crayola has actually retired 34 colors, including lemon yellow, teal, blue, and thistle. Did you know that for the rest of eternity there will never be anything drawn in either burnt umber or magic mint? And yet, for reasons unfathomable to the normal brain, they continue to crank out that annoyingly wimpy color, periwinkle. What's that all about? Well, they've replaced the retired colors with nouveau-sounding ones like asparagus and bittersweet, inchworm, and tumbleweed. What the hell color is inchworm? Oh, well, that's it. Thanks. Well, anyways, my point is that it's hard enough for my 8-color palette brain to grasp the difference between sage and mint. More astonishingly, in addition to all the colors in Crayola's 64-color box, I've discovered there are literally hundreds of shades of white. When did that happen? Well, that brings me to my wife. You see, my wife is an artist. She and I were discussing what color to paint her art studio. And apparently it's important that an artist's studio be painted in neutral tones like white. I have no idea why. I had suggested bubblegum pink, but apparently that's not quite neutral enough pour ma femme artiste. No, she insisted that it had to be a shade of white. A shade of white? What does that mean? A shade? Well, so we went to the paint store to buy some cans of white paint. I figured we'd be in and out in 5 minutes. Oh, how wrong I was. Because on the Sherwin-Williams paint charts, you can buy just about any shade of white paint imaginable or unimaginable. But there's one shade you won't find anywhere, and that is plain white. So, just how many shades of white are there, you ask? Well, according to Kevin, the paint store helper there are, and I'm just approximating here, 493. 494 if you count whitish white, which happens to be in addition to an actual color. It actually describes most of my dance moves. Kevin showed us the endless sea of white paint swatches. I quickly realized I should have brought my camping gear. Oh God, because we were going to be here a long, long time. I've seen flowers blossom and die in less time than it took for my wife to decide which shade of white was the best one for her art studio. Apparently, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I did not understand this was a monumentally important decision, on par with what names to give our children, and whether to donate a kidney to save my ailing mother. I'm happy to report that my mom is doing fine, and you can barely notice the scar where they removed my wife's kidney. You see, what shade of white to paint my wife's art studio was a decision we simply had to get right. So she asked Kevin to show us a few color choices. The following is a tiny sampling of white color options we were shown. Eggshell, linen, pearl, baby powder, ghost white, cream, ivory, seashell, white smoke, Navajo, bisque, papaya, bone, and fog mist were just the tip of the iceberg, which happened to be, by the way, color number 273 on the Sherwin-Williams white paint chart. But Kevin was just getting started. He also showed us white pebble, picket fence, dove wing, Old Lace, Corn Silk, Arctic White, Wimbledon, Vanilla, Floral White, Chablis, Magnolia, Dutch White, Flax, and Sea Cloud. Are you still watching? Wow, I would have bailed after Baby Powder. So then Kevin showed us even more shades of white paint. Napkin White, Winterwood, Victorian Pewter, Oatmeal, Scotland Road, Champagne, Pale Smoke, Macaroon Cream, Sea Salt, Rag Paper, Waterfall Mist, Soft Muslin, Beryllium, and Bismuth. Okay, in full disclosure, those last two weren't shades of white. They're actually elements on the periodic table. I just wanted to see if you were still paying attention. So, oh, by the way, B-E is the symbol for beryllium. I figured you'd want to know. Anyway, all these actual paint colors have one thing in common. They all looked white to me. After what seemed like an hour spent pondering the color options, because that's how long it was, my wife narrowed the list down to white chocolate, snowbound, and white heron. Personally, I had my heart set on psychedelic banana, but she stopped asking for my input after I suggested we just throw a dart on the wall and see where it lands. In the end, my wife settled on white heron. She said something about it having the right balance of saturation and tonality to offset the coolness of the ambient afternoon light, blah, 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 blah. Frankly, I have no idea what she was talking about. She lost me at right balance. She asked me how I felt about her decision, and well, of course, there was only one correct answer. Excellent choice, dear. Once we finished painting the walls, my wife started having second thoughts. Perhaps she should have gone with vanilla milkshake or glacier white. I offered her $100 to not set foot in that paint store ever again. So she took the cash and accepted that white heron would probably do. Whatever shade of white it is, it looks fine to me. Of course, I can no more tell the difference between white heron and glacier white than I could tell you the difference between a French horn and a tuba. All I can say is you won't catch me second-guessing her choice, that's for sure. I'm just glad she didn't choose periwinkle. That's the view from the bleachers. I'm Tim Jones, and remember, if you like this video or just feel sorry for me, please click on the subscribe button below and share this video with your friends or anyone you'd like to annoy. For more of my humor, just visit my website, viewfromthebleachers.net. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.